So how have you been doing your reading goals for 2019 so far? How many books did you read in January?
Quite good, actually. I read like 3 books in January.
Oh, yay!
Yes. The goal was to read 4 books anyway.
I read 4, so I'm not doing bad. So today we're going to be reviewing a book by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and the title is The Thing Around Your Neck. It's a collection of short stories and it was published in 2009, and it takes us through a journey of 12 different stories. We're going to discuss some of the stories in our review, so stick around.
So this book was written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She is a popular Nigerian author. If you've read Purple Hibiscus, one of her breakout books, then I'm sure you probably know who she is. And she's also an activist and an award-winning writer anyway. She's really popular. If you want to know more about her, you should Google her to know more about her. So we're going to be talking about the 12 stories in this book. It's a collection of short stories, like Tipe has said, and it takes us through a journey of politics, identity, arranged marriages,
immigration issues.
Yeah.
So it's basically set in Nigeria and the United States. So we have stories that, take us to the United States, brings us back home to Nigeria, and like that we traverse those 2 locations, and it addresses a lot of issues like Diana mentioned, and we're just going to talk about a few of the stories that kind of resonated with us personally.
Yeah. I'm going to start with Cell 1, which is the first story in the collection anyway. It's set in Enugu in University of Nsukka in Nigeria, and it is about a professor and his family. It was narrated through the younger sister, the voice of his younger sister, and this boy went to steal.
He arranged for his family to be robbed.
Yeah. He robbed his family and staged it as a break-in. So it's one talks about cultism in universities in Nigeria. I mean, if you schooled in Nigeria, then I'm sure you will be familiar with the top of cultism. So that's what Selwyn just kind of addresses, and it also addresses the injustice in the system of government, and also the corruption in the police force. So that's basically what Selwyn addresses.
I think it also addresses family issues as well.
Yes, it does.
Because I felt like the parents were not so firm or strict. And I think that because they didn't address certain issues, it's kind of like affected the upbringing of their kids, especially the son. Like they got away with a lot of things. They got away with the robbery, which they all knew he did, and there was really no punishment for it. They just pretended like it didn't happen, and then like that, I think it just went on like that, and it spoke to how he even landed in trouble and was assumed to be a cultist
when he wasn't anyway. So one for me is one of the stories I really like in this collection.
Okay, so one story that stood out for me would be a private experience, and one of the reasons why it resonated with me was because it reminded me of a friend's book after they left Edify's book, and it just talks about a medical student that came from England with her sister on holiday in Kano, and then they decided to visit the market one day and the crisis broke out. And then it takes us through the journey of how she had to hide in a store, in an abandoned store with an Hausa Muslim woman. And then going through the story, the whole thing that even started the fight in the first place was the fact that an Igbo Christian driver was trying to move his car back, and then he ran over the holy book, the Quran, and before you knew it, they had cut off his head, and fights broke out, and many people died. And it just shows like it's fine, it's fiction, but then it just tells us or shows the realities of what is actually going on in the northern part of our country. And I remember one part in the book in the story where what's the name of the medical student? I think Chika, yes. Where Chika said something like, this thing wasn't supposed to happen to me. You know how some people that are not in the north, like people like us that we live in Lagos, and then we hear about these things in the news, and we're like, oh, okay, it's happening there, right? Like you never imagined that it would come near you. So that kind of like just gave me a lot to think about, and I think it's one of my favorite stories from this book.
Okay, sorry, to add to what she said, it was even very ironic to see that the person that even took her to safety was a Muslim Hausa woman, and she was Igbo Christian, and you know they were fighting themselves outside. So these two sects were fighting themselves outside, and meanwhile the people killing her people, one of them was the one who
they
took
found
her to safety.
refuge with each other.
So it just shows that it was even ironic, and it just also shows that not everyone, you know, we're fond of this judging every tribe by one
and religion.
Yeah, exactly, by one thing, and not everybody is that way.
People are just who they are. Like stop stereotyping. Basically, Christians, Muslims, different tribes, everybody, we are just people. We have our personalities, and we should try as much as possible to have a mind of our own. Yeah, that's just what I think.
It's very strong. So another story that resonated with me is Imitation. Imitation is about this lady in Kem who is a stay-at-home wife and mother, and she's an abroad wife, like Tita said earlier. So her husband works in Nigeria, lives and works in Nigeria, and then she lives and takes care of her children in America. And then the story starts with a phone call where her friend calls her and told her that her husband is cheating on her with a younger girl, and then the girl has moved into the husband's house, into their matrimonial home in Nigeria, and then the girl has natural curly hair and all of that, and then she now goes on her own and cuts her hair and makes it, texturizes it and makes it natural and curly and everything. And then her husband comes to visit and sees her hair and is like, "Madam, what is this?" And she's like, "Oh, doesn't he like it?" And then it also has a story. I like how Chimamanda wrote the story because it also has the story of art, the Benin art, and then the husband is an art collector, and he used to bring imitation of these original arts. So I like how she used the title of the story and the story itself to interweave it with the subplot of art collections and imitation. And Nkem was just not herself anymore because of the unforeseen threats.
But I don't know, like I didn't feel sorry for her because she said it herself in the story how before she got married to Biora, how she used to cheat, date married men. So that's your opinion. Yeah, like what goes around comes around.
So that's how you see it.
Well, yeah.
Well, I felt bad for her.
No, why?
I don't know. I just felt bad for her. I mean, nobody deserves to be cheated.
But she did it now. She did it repeatedly to other people's husbands and families, and I don't think she was remorseful. So I think it was just about to happen.
You think so?
Well.
Anyway, Imitation is another nice story in this collection. So if you've read this book, you should also, tell us what you think about Imitation and Tifa's point of view as regards that part.
Unpopular opinion. Finally, the last story we're going to discuss is Tomorrow is Too Far. And it talks about, it's set in the eastern part of Nigeria, and it talks about two children that actually live abroad but come to Nigeria for summer and spend the time with their grandparents and their cousins. And it talks about this, the grandma, despite the fact that she had a grandson who is older by her daughter, she recognizes her son's son because she claims that that's the child that will carry on their name. And I kind of saw sibling rivalry in a whole different light in this story, because the grandma obviously had treated the Gozie boy, I think, treated Nonso like a special child, and Gozie is the other cousin who was supposed to be older, but because the daughter is the how do I put it? A daughter's son, So the grandma didn't really send, and then there's Nonso's younger sister, who was just in the background. Like, they're even talking about sons. Nobody's even talking about her.
Girl,
yeah, so it talks about how Nonso died, and the grandma, you know, she was distraught and all that. And then when she called the Nonso's mom, who was in the US, to tell her about her son's death, and the mom insisted on flying her son's body back. And then it shows how they went through the motions of his burial, and for months nobody actually asked how did Nonso die. So that was like a mystery for a while. And then one day the mom had the courage to ask her daughter, and she said her grandma asked Nonso to climb to the highest part of a tree and then tried to play a prank on him, told him that there was a snake on the floor, and he lost his balance and fell. And when he fell, he was still breathing, and the grandma just kept shouting till he stopped breathing. So that made the mom obviously hate the grandma, who is her husband's mom, and there was already a divorce on that way. We're not clear if the reason for the divorce was because their son died or they had issues before. And then eventually it turns out that there was actually a secret around Nonso's death that Ngozi and Nonso's younger sister actually knew about, and it was basically that everything the younger sister said the grandma did happened, only that she was the one that put her brother up to it, not the grandma. And she actually waited for her brother to stop breathing before she called her grandma to say, oh, my brother is not breathing or something. So that just gave me a lot to think about. Like, would you blame the sister for wanting to hurt her brother or get him out of the way because she felt like she would not be seen or heard because her brother was in the picture, so she had to take him out of the picture? Or would you blame the grandma who showed so much preference and caused the children to have that kind of intent towards each other? Because even the cousin that witnessed everything never said anything about it. And these are kids that we're talking about, they're like 10, below 10. So it's just it's wild for kids that young. I have nibblings that are that young, and I cannot imagine them thinking about things like that. So I don't know, what you think?
I think sibling rivalry always, for me, it's my opinion, siblings rivalry always comes from the parents. Yeah, it always, that whole preferential treatment, especially when you're making it very obvious and the other children know that, oh, this is the preferred one.
Oh, you make comparisons.
All the sibling rivalry I have seen has always been faulted. So if you really look at it, it's from the parents. So yeah.
So I guess that's it.
Okay, so I'm going to say a few things that I like about this book or this collection. I read it first in 2013, and as at that time when I read it, I felt Chimamanda's writing style was too descriptive. Like, I had issues with her trying to explain how the house looks like and the curtains look like. I just was like, okay, it's a bit descriptive. But reading it recently just opened my eyes up. Chimamanda is actually a fantastic writer. Like, her descriptive powers are like, really strong. I like the fact that it's a collection of short stories. So for people who are fans of Chimamanda Adichie, but you've never read any of her book, this is a good way to start, because they're short stories, and not everyone can pull off writing short stories, because short stories are actually really difficult to write, and not everyone can pull it off. So yes, that's what I like about the book. How she describes things, and it brings. It's short, but you feel the emotions. You have like a depth of the characters and everything. So yeah, one of the things I like about this book.
Okay, so since Diana has said everything that I like about the book too, I'll just jump right into what I don't like about the book. First of all, I don't like the title of this book. And that's because I did not like the story that was titled after. And I felt like there were other stories that could have been the title of the book itself. So that's one thing. And then I also did not like how, still on titles, how some stories were titled. I mean, I would finish reading and I'll be like, okay, so why this title anyway? Like, it could have been easily been something else.
True.
Yeah, so that was that. And I think that's just about, okay, so I also didn't really like how some stories ended. I think it was me asking for too much because I don't know, what do I expect from short stories? It has to end somewhere. And then, you know, when I just want more, like, okay, so what happened after? And I'm like, oh, that's the end. Okay. So yeah, that was that. But I think it still boils down to the fact that Chimamanda is a genius at what she does. And if you make me feel that way about the short story, then, man, yeah, thumbs up.
So, T, how would you rate this book?
I rate it a 7.5.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I don't easily like short stories, collection of short stories, and I think this is my favorite so far.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I'll give it an 8.5.
Yeah, nice. She's a nice one.
Not even about being nice. I know how hard it is to write short stories. Trust me, I know how hard it is to write short stories. So yes, that's how I'll give it an 8.5.
We've come to the end of today's review of The Thing Around Your Neck, and we checked some of the stories that resonated with us and the things we liked about the book and what we didn't like. And we would like to hear your thoughts if you've read the book, and if you would like to read the book, let us know. We would put a link for you to the direct link to get the book in the description below, so you can actually get the book. It's a very good read. It's recommended by us, and yeah, you should check it out.
So guys, don't forget to follow us on social media at Bookish on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and also like this video, share, comment, and lastly subscribe to our channel if you already haven't subscribed. So see you in our next video. Bye.